Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a review on the Ford Focus RS. The particular car that I'm driving is mine. It is a 2017 and I've had it for about 8 months. I was able to work a deal on it given that it was a leftover 2017 in the 2018 calendar year. Before we get started though, I want to just take a quick moment and let you guys all know that we have launched a website. So if you want to, go ahead and run over there and check that out. I will post a overlay down in the corner here that basically has the website address. That website is going to be used to expand upon the topics that we talk about in these videos, go a little bit deeper than what I can do trying to keep these videos at the length that I know most of you like. So if you want to dive deeper into topics or even see some things that we can't cover because they're previous vehicles and they're no longer available to do any video footage of, be sure to head over there and check that out. Let's get started with the Ford Focus RS. And this may not be the way that most people want me to start, but I am going to start with the bad things first. I don't know if it's going to show up on video or not, but the suspension in this car is extremely firm. Now I do have a image stabilization lens on the camera, so it might be taking most of that out, but it's just something to note, and I think it's been noted in other reviews as well, is that this is a sports car. It's a rather aggressive sports car in terms of the chassis rigidity and the suspension. So if you don't like a firm ride, I would say you can immediately pass on this car, or you'd have to consider going the aftermarket route. I've heard good things about some of the aftermarket suspensions, that they do help to smooth that out. But bone stock, basically this car does ride extremely firm, so if you buy one, just be prepared for that. The next negative is you have to accept that this is a very expensive Ford Focus. You're buying a Ford Focus, and although it is, a really nice car and not your average Focus, you do have to pay a hefty price if you're buying one new. The MSRP on the one that I'm driving as it sits right here was $42,000 and some change, but it's important to note that that does include 2 sets of rims and tires. Basically, this vehicle came with a set of summer rims and tires and also a set of performance winter rims and tires. In addition to that, included in that MSRP was also the car cover that came with it. Now, I've personally never used it, but it is a customized Ford Focus RS specific car cover. So if you're past the hefty price and the firm suspension, the next thing that you have to get over is the fact that there are some minor rattles. I don't know if they'll come through in this video or not, because there's a lot of snow and background noise that's going to be on the roads today, but essentially the center console has a pretty loud vibration noise to it. From what I've read online, there are some quick and easy fixes to that. I haven't tried them yet, so if I get a chance, I will apply that because it is annoying, and if it does make an improvement or it doesn't, either way, I'll be sure to let you guys know. Next up on the negatives is fuel economy. So even though this is a 4-cylinder, it is a 4-cylinder that is definitely tuned very, very precisely for performance. So if you're driving it the way I suspect most people will be, you're probably looking at a combined average city and highway of somewhere around 18 miles per gallon, which, yes, for a car of this size is pretty bad. In addition to the fuel economy, the car does require 91 plus octane fuel, so you're going to be spending more at the pump. This is a 2017 model year, and the next year after that, which was the last year, basically they increased the MSRP and bundled some options in there, one of which was a limited slip differential, which I did really want. However, they also assumed that in 2018, everybody would want a black roof regardless of the body color of the car, and my personal preference was just not to have a different colored roof on the car. I know it may be a stupid reason, but that was, quite frankly, the primary reason why I shopped around and found a leftover 17 versus the 2018 model years. Then let's talk about probably the most discussed topic when you research this car, and that is the head gasket. Ford did have a problem. It took them a really long time to acknowledge the problem, they had the wrong head gasket on these cars in the earlier model years. The cutoff was actually sometime throughout the 2017 model year, and I looked this one up before purchasing it, and it is the newer style head gasket. I verified that by physically looking at the head gasket before purchasing the car to make sure that the recall would not even need to be performed on it. If you have an older one, Ford will now do the recall, but it's a pretty significant impact, and it can lead to catastrophic engine failure if the recall has not been done. So, if you get past all of that, is there any reason left to buy this car? In my opinion, absolutely. So you may notice in the video today, we are driving in some pretty adverse conditions. I am still sitting on the winter rims and tire combination, so that's certainly helping out. But the all-wheel drive, the traction control, all of the things that are in this car do make it a really good performer, even in adverse conditions. So if you want something that's sporty that you can use for a daily driver, and you live in an area where you have adverse climates, aka winter months, this is definitely a good option for you. Obviously, it gets compared very frequently to the Subaru STI. The Subaru STI, however, is no longer offered in a hatchback version, so I think that's predominantly one of the key things that really differentiates the Ford Focus from that, is that it only comes in a hatchback version. In addition to the hatchback body style, the other thing that is not an option to choose from on this car is any transmission other than the manual transmission. This car comes one and only one way, and that is 3 pedals and a manual gearbox, which for me personally was another benefit to the car. I like the engaging feel, and yes, I'm fully aware that modern dual clutch gearboxes are faster, they accelerate faster, the shifts are faster, but there's something just more enjoyable to me about buying the manual gearboxes. It was also a contributing factor when I had the C7 Corvette, because that one also came with the manual transmission option, which is what I had. So if you like manuals, this is definitely one that you're going to want to look at. If you don't, you're going to have to look somewhere else, because there is no other option. Moving on from the transmission, let's start talking about some of the other good qualities of this car. Basically, it is a well-balanced car, and I think that is an extremely important thing. For me personally, I spent a lot of time in European brands, and this is something that they typically do very well. When I say well-balanced, what I mean is that the power and the handling and the braking are all very well proportioned to one another. So you don't have overwhelming power but poor braking or suspension or handling. You don't have really good brakes but without the power, or handling without the power. This is a very good balance and mix of all of those things, and I think that's something that's really hard to accomplish in any car, and I think Ford has done a phenomenal job of it here in this one. One of the other key benefits that I really love about this car is one of the most engaging cars that I've driven, and yes, that includes cars such as the C7 Corvette, the Ferrari 355, Mercedes C63 AMG. These are really high-end, nice cars, and relevant to today's prices would be far more expensive than this one here. Are there differences that make those vehicles worth their price? Absolutely. But does that mean that there's not space in the market for a car like this? In my opinion, no. Because there is definitely room in the market to have that well-balanced option package without some of the high-end luxury features, but making it a little more affordable than some of those other brands. I also think that the configuration of this, again, being a 4-door and a hatchback, is pretty versatile, although I will mention, and has been mentioned in most reviews, the hatchback on this vehicle is not exactly the most useful. It's not a flat floor because of the way that the car is laid out with the all-wheel drive system. There's a bit of a step up when you get into the hatch area, so it's not going to be like you can lay large items flat across all the folded down seats. However, it is still very usable. It is a small car, but it is 4-door, and you can certainly fit child seats in the back, things of that nature. So for people that are starting out a family and want something that's fun but they can't use in all scenarios, again, I think this is a great option for you. I'm not going to be covering any of the drift modes or track modes or any of that kind of stuff in this video. I do have a school planned that came with the car, the RS Adrenaline Academy. I'll be going to that next month, so be sure to stay tuned and subscribe to get notified of that video when it gets uploaded. I'll try to get as much coverage as I can, and that will start to talk a little bit more about those more hooligan modes or more fun modes of this car if you're looking to take it to the track or go and do donuts or drifting or any of those type of things. I'm not going to be covering that here. Having said that it doesn't match the German competitors in terms of luxury, that doesn't mean that this car feels cheap. Yes, there is plastic bits all over the place, but if you get over that and get past that, it's still a nice place to be. The interior is appointed nicely, the blue stitching is a nice complement, and this one again came pretty well loaded up. I have the navigation system, I have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, I have dual climate controls, I have heated seats, heated mirrors, heated steering wheel, so a lot of options that I think are important ones. They may not be all of the high-end carbon fiber trim pieces, but you can buy some of that in the aftermarket world if you really want to dress this thing up. So all in all, I really love my Ford Focus RS, and I'm confident that I'll love it even more after next month when I have the opportunity to attend that RS Academy and learn to drive it to its capabilities, or at least to the limits of my own. I think that this is a really good deal, and especially used now, they're coming down in price, and on the used market, I think you're really getting quite the bargain, again, if you can deal with the negatives that I mentioned early on in this video. If you haven't already, be sure you click that subscribe button and the bell notification to get notified whenever we upload new videos. If you like this, be sure to give it a great big thumbs up. If you have feedback or comments, be sure to leave those in the comment section below. And if you did like this, be sure to share it on all of the social media. And again, head over to our new website and check that out for additional blogs and updates over there. As always, take care and drive safe.